Tell me about what do you mean? In the new building.
Big schluss for our Seaboard that we was able to have time here once again for joining us for what he calls vacation and what people would call hard work. Keeping sure all day. And we have our Kila is like to have a close catcher. Mr. Khan is going to be here. He's going to share tonight. He's going to be here for Shabbos. And as well, he's going to be doing a share Sunday morning. A share that we usually give at 9:40 in the morning. We're kind of going to give that share. It's Shnei and but it's a big schos. Our tzibur Baruch Hashem. And we have come in and discuss different things to speak about. This is of priority we started on a lot of people's minds, and we're glad to be here and share with
I'd like to thank the Rochman because for bringing me here once again and giving me this opportunity to reconnect. The Blazer mentioned tonight about priorities of Tzedaka. It's not going to be talking about how to increase the amounts of Tzedaka given. Baruch Hashem, we come to Yisrael, also gives out phenomenal sums of money to Tzedaka. But what we are going to talk about with Hashem is how to elevate the way we give Tzedaka. The forms of Tzedaka, if you give the same dollar amount, you'll get more for your buck, you can increase the efficacy of your tzedakah. We're going to learn about priorities of who we're supposed to treat first, get preferential treatment, etc. But tzedakah is a hallmark of a year. And Avraham Avinu gave over this legacy to Klal Yisrael. The Rambam says it's a simin l'tzadik zera Avraham Avinu. That's his lashon. It's not mesaniyim. It's a siman. If you want to know if he's a yid or not, let's look at the tzedakah that he's giving, and then we'll know if he's a yid. A yid, every yid gives tzedakah. So, to lay down the groundwork is that we know that all mitzvahs, there are halachas. You want to shake a lulav. How tall the lulav has to be, how tall the dasan has to go on the right, and the rubber on the left, and that's the drop to over the other. Can't be too high on the lulav. There are halachas. On every mitzvah, there are halachas how to do it in a better way. So too, in Hilchot Tzedakah, it's like any other mitzvah deraisa, we have halachas of how to do Mekayim mitzvah tzedakah. And the more we know about those halachas and the details, the better off our giving will be. So let's lay down some yisodis. Everyone has heard about Maisa. So let me dispel the notion. Maisa is a beautiful minig. It's not mentioned in the Torah. It's not mentioned in, it's not mentioned in Shas. And it's not actually not even in Gopaskin and Shulchan Aruch. It's not even mentioned in Shulchan Aruch. There's one remiz, a suffix remiz in the Ramah about the Indian of Maisa. It's not even mentioned. But everyone in Klal knows about Maisa. It's a Pi Kabbalah, and it's a great thing. But what is a deraisa is called tzedakah. And tzedakah and Maisa are not necessarily the same thing. Tzedakah is a chiyuv that we have to provide for aniyim. How much are we supposed to be giving of our income? Well, that depends which tax bracket we're in, how much we're earning. The Rambam, Tzor, Shulchan Aruch, Reish Memtes, Paskins, that the Beinoni, the person who makes an average income, the median income, household income, him and his wife together, household income, that median gives 10%. Or a person is making a little bit lower than the average income, so then he gives 9%. A little bit lower than that is 8%. And so too, a little bit higher than that could be 11%, 12%, 30%, and it go up till 20%. Once it is 20%, it maxes out. We're now allowed to give more than 20% of our money away to tzedakah. Meiser is something else entirely. Meiser is our Pi Kabbalah, like I mentioned, and that is the Indian of Meiser Rishon. We all know that when we have food, we have crops, we have to take off a tithe of the crops and give it away to the Levium, and that was Meiser Rishon. Money, which is not crops, and we're in Chusar, it's even with big crops is only in Eretz Yisrael, there's an Indian called Maisa that is like Maisa Rishon, and we're supposed to be giving it away, so to speak, to Leviim. Who are the Leviim? The Leviim are those who are the Oivdim in the Beis HaMikdash. They're the Shevet HaNifka that was dedicated and devoted solely to learning Torah. And Memela, the Maisa was given to them to support them, that they should be able to still serve in the Beis HaMikdash uninterrupted. They don't have to be out to work. They could be focused on serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So everyone knows the famous Rambam, L'Shevet Levi Bovad. Every person in Klal Yisrael could reach the Darga and learn Torah and be like Shevet Levi and devote himself to be a Kol Yom and to learn totally engrossed and focused in Torah. But Leviim were those people who were devoted to Torah Hashem. So therefore, based on this, the strict understanding of Meiser is that Meiser Ksofim, that we're trying to accomplish, also are supposed to go to quote-unquote Shevet Levi, which are the Amalei Torah of Klal Yisrael. That's what's Mavun in the Medrash, that our Meiser money is supposed to go to Amalei Torah. Amalei Torah are people who are devoted learning. It could be a Talmud Chacham, a Rebbe, or Rav, Rish Kailel, a younger man. It's someone whose life mission is to learn Torah. We have phenomenal, beautiful organizations in Klal Yisrael that actually Klal Yisrael really can't survive without. Hatzalah, Pika Chaylan, there are many organizations. There's asking there are many organizations that we take for granted for Klal Yisrael, and as beautiful as they are, but it's not a Mali Torah. So according to the strict reading of the Medrashim, really, that shouldn't be taken off from Maisa. Maisa should be going to people who are learning Torah. Support a Kailah, North Miami Kailah, for example, you support a Kailah, that's where Maisa Ksofim is supposed to be going to. The other mitzvahs of Klal Yisrael is really not supposed to be coming out of Maisa, but should be coming out above the Maisa. For example, let's say somebody, he's in the bracket a little above average, he's supposed to be giving 12% tzedakah. Let's just say. So the Sfarim say that you want to accomplish the Inyan of Maisa, so what we really want to do is be mafresh, or at least designate 10% of the money going towards Maisa, and the other 2, 3, 4, whatever percent is, that is a separate judgment. I don't give 14% tzedakah, I give 10% for Maisa, and an additional 4% as tzedakah. If a person is higher up and he can afford to give 20%, he doesn't give 20% away, he gives 2 times 10% away. He gives 1/10. 1/10% is for Maisa Rishon, and the second 10% is Maisa Sheni. What was Maisa Sheni? Maisa Sheni was we took our crops, we went up to Yerushalayim, and we ate our crops in Yerushalayim. And what was the point of bringing up the crops to Yerushalayim? Obviously, it's Xeris HaKosov, but what's Mavur in this one is that when we come up to Yerushalayim, we were exposed to the beauty of the Avodah of the Beis HaMikdash. Kohanim ba'Avodasam, Levim b'Shiram, it's beautiful, mamish beautiful. And we were inspired and connected, and we come back from Eretz Yisrael on a high, on a spiritual high. We are more connected to the Rebbe Shalom. So really what Maisa Sheni was supposed to accomplish is an injection of ruknias. Mitzvahs. See, now when you shake a lulav, you're going to do it with the slavis, you're going to do it with the simcha. When you have apnosis oracle, it's going to be the simcha. You're going to do the mitzvahs in its fullest. It was a benefit, a boost to our mitzvahs. So therefore the Sfarim say that the first 10% should be going for Amalei Torah, and the second 10% should be going for all the other mitzvahs that Baruch Shem Klal Yisrael has. Now this is not Pashut. Since Maisa is not a deraisa, and it's not a derabanan even according to most places, it's only a minig, a pisoid, like I mentioned, so therefore there are many places who are willing to make megal and allow you to use even your Maisa money, your first 10%, towards mitzvahs. There's a mashmois in the Ramah in the beginning of Reish Mem Tes, not like that. They're not allowed to use it for mitzvahs. And there are Kohanim who address it and they get out of that mashmois. So it's a debate. It's not clear, but because it's anyway not we call Me'ikar Adin, so therefore the Paiskim are willing to be lenient. The Chavetz Chaim makes a shara based on the Knesset HaGedolah, and that is that our Maisa money, which really is supposed to be going to Amali Torah, it's enough if we do Rubai Kekulai. So if you give most of your Maisa money to Amali Torah, then sort of you accomplish that inyan of Amali Torah. And the Mela, yes, you satisfied, I gave my Rishon to the Levim. I didn't give 10% of my money to Levim, I only gave 6% of my money to Levim, and the other 4 went for mitzvahs, but the totality of the Maisa, most of my money went to Amali Torah, and that's enough, and that's a kiyum of my Rishon.
So what's the Amali Torah that are aniyim also? Or
Well,
some?
most Amali Torah are aniyim.
That's the number someone gave them, right?
And if not, if he's not an ani, then really he gives your money to somebody else. But if you have a problem, I could direct it, you know. Most Amali Torah are aniyim, and which is fine. That's the beauty of the world. The sacrifice that we have put towards Torah is that yes, and you never know, based on the Gemara and Baba Basra, that it's very possible that the reason why most of the Amali Torah are aniyim is to give the rest of Klal Yisrael an opportunity to support the Amali Torah, so they could also have the course of the Torah that he's learning. Can you imagine if the Amali Torah would be sufficient, self-sufficient, independently, financially independent, what would the rest of Klal Yisrael do? Right? They'll be stuck. So when are they going to learn Tyrus? And when are they going to learn Kachim? And when are they going to learn Kachim Mishpat? When are they going to do that? Right? At best to learn, I don't know, they'll hear a shir on Shabbos, I don't know what it will be. So, like this, they have a schus in the chelik of Torah, all the Amali Torah, because they support the Amali Torah. So, Hashem knows what he's doing exactly. He has it all figured out. So it's a good thing, in a way, that the Amali Torah sometimes have to come on to help, which allows opportunities to the rest of the clients.
Is the purpose to give to the Amali Torah itself or the institutions as well? Like a building campaign, let's say.
So if it's a building campaign for Torah, right? If it's a new Evan, Hanochas Evan Apina for a koilel, a choshev a koilel that's happening on Sunday, so, and that koilel is the Makom Torah, so yes, and that's considered also Torah. Means it could be your base medrash that you learned in as well. It could be, yes, if you're supporting Torah, so then yes, your Maisa money is going towards Torah. But what we have to come out, this is the first Nekuda Rabbi Sai, to elevate our giving, the form of giving is to try to find the Mali Torah. And even if you go like the Shitas or hold that you're allowed to give Maisa stam to mitzvahs, beautiful mitzvahs, but everyone agrees that Torah is supreme, that Torah is more choshev. It's just they allow you to give to mitzvahs. But if you have an opportunity to have a Talmud Chacham in front of me or a mitzvah in front of me, I'm supposed to support the Talmud Chacham before I support the mitzvah. So definitely, according to everyone, if you give to Talmidei Chachamim, you just elevated your type of tzedakah.
When you get a person doesn't give over 10%, so that 2, 3, 4% is considered the chemish, or you're only hitting the chemish if you can give
That's
additional
going to
10.
be part of your what we call Maisa Sheni, but you're not doing a full Maisa Sheni. So in economic, you're not going to get the full Amina Maisa Sheni, but that is the person's Chiva Torah for tzedakah. Right? It's funny how somehow Maisa took over. The halachas of the Torah and Hilchas Tzedaka were like put on the side, marginalized, and everyone heard of Maisa. And not that many people heard of Tzedaka. But yes, Tzedaka you would get, that would be part of your second 10%. But yeah, you didn't do the whole Maisa Sheni, but you gave what you could afford, so you're good.
So tzedakah to a regular ani, not an Amo B'Torah, is the same level as giving Hatzalah and
No. Tzedakah to a regular ani is a key mitzvah to rice of
that's a
tzedakah.
separate.
That's great, but you didn't do a Malay Torah, so if you want to know in Hilchas Maisa, I got tzedakah, I may not have gotten Maisa, depending on the Shita. If I get roiv of my Maisa money to Malay Torah, that Shabbos Chaim was Makriya, that Pshara, and that would work. So this is the first.
What makes your bracket? How do you know what the average bracket is? Like
How do you know? I guess you look around. I can't speak for North Miami. I can speak for Lakewood. If I had to take a guess, I'm not an accountant, but I had to take a guess, the median income in Lakewood is probably about $250,000.
Well, if a guy has 10 kids,
But I have
it's
no
it's
idea
half
what it
a
is in
million dollars.
Miami, so don't use that number at all, right? But that's my guess for Lakewood. So then economically, the more kids you have, so the more depends you have, so then economically, the less will go around to get out. I'm just talking about what's considered the maintenance, so, you know, a baby, a family, the average family, they could have 8 kids, I don't know.
But after that level is what? After
As you go
50.
up, you increase your tzedakah. For example, let's talk math. So if you have, if 250 is the number, I'm just giving you a number. So if your person earns 275, so then he's supposed to be giving 11%, because he has an extra, that 1% in his income. If he's earning 300, he's supposed to be giving 12%, etc. Actually, it's probably even more, because the bread and butter, the meat that you need at the beginning is like, you can't do away with that, you need, and it's the extra that pushing you
That's a fear.
easily to give away. But for certain, let's say someone's earning $500,000 of a family income, then for sure he's supposed to be giving a chemish, because he can afford it, that's for sure. So that, based on these numbers, so but you can't go over a chemish, so there's a catch there, but that's, first level of elevation is to make sure to try to give as much as you can to Amoli's family. That's the first inclusion.
Every mice includes tzedakah also.
Every mice includes tzedakah if you're giving to ani. But what happens if you don't give to ani? Unless you give to a mitzvah that's not ani, many of the organizations, most of the organizations do not discriminate ani and Hashirim, right? Someone who's sick, for example, in the hospital and the Bika Kodesh runs by, they don't say, oh, I see your tax return, you're usher, so goodbye, I'm not going to visit you. They don't do that. They help everyone. Hatzalah helps everyone. All these organizations help everyone. So maybe a chelik of it is helping aniyim. There's a chiddush or Rabbi Yasha. Rabbi Yasha had a chiddush that he said if the organization needs that much amount of money to provide for the aniyim, then the extra for the Hashim doesn't count. Let's say, for example, Hatzalah. Let's say Hatzalah needs an ambulance, right? And even if they wouldn't service any Hashim, only aniyim, and they would still need that one ambulance, so then the fact that they also service Hashim doesn't detract from the Tzedaka Shabbat that they're helping aniyim. But let's say now, because there are more people, they need a second ambulance, and if there were to be only aniyim, they wouldn't need that second. Okay, it's getting technical. Fine, but you get the idea. The idea is that the SM we should try to capitalize and get the most we can is try to focus and channel our money to Moli Torah. The second nakuda is that a lot of times people are approached by fundraisers, and they come and it's well-meaning, and the yeshivas and the moisters need these fundraisers, because otherwise they won't raise the funds, and they need the funds. That we know. But many of these fundraisers take a large amount off the top. They could be taking 20, 30% or more off the top. So while it's a beautiful thing and it's considered tzedakah 100% when you give to these fundraisers, for sure, don't say otherwise. You did give to the yeshiva decided to spend that money on fundraisers, but you gave to the yeshiva. But if you know of a Talmud Chacham and you can give the money directly, and you circumvented, you bypassed that fundraiser cut, so then you're getting 100 cents on your dollar that's going to the objective, the cause that's needed, whereas through a fundraiser, maybe only 75 cents on your dollar or less is going to where you want it to end up. So again, Zichr it's 100% tzedakah, because that was the choice that the Maisid made. But if you want to be able to elevate your form of giving, so then you'd be better off if 100 cents on the dollar is going to help out the Talmud Chacham, rather than 75 cents on the dollar.
What if you give it through a credit card processor and it takes 3%?
Exactly, same thing. So 3% you're losing out. It is, if the yeshiva accepts tzedakah, it's a new deal that they have internal between them and the merchant and the credit card processor, Visa, whatever it is. So in economy, you get full credit for the tzedakah, but if you want to know, only 97 cents of your money is going to support Talmidei Chacham.
You can always opt in to pay the fees too.
Yeah, okay. Fine. Now, but for sure, it's for sure tzedakah. You know, the famous story of Chaim Volozhin. One time a fundraiser pulled up by his house, and he was driving a chosh of a wagon, And he turned, Mamish, the Gvir was very upset, very disturbed by it, that I'm supporting the Volozhin yeshiva and my money should go to a wagon? That's what I'm doing? I want to support Torah. And he brought it up with Chaim Volozhin. Chaim Volozhin explained that based on the psukim, whatever, Machshavas, it's a Santa Chiddush that he had, but he said it depends on your Machshava. If your Machshava is pure and rain when you gave that tzedakah, then your money is going to support the younger man. And if it's not, it's going to support the horse. That was his one. Right? It's the third. Then you're supporting the third. So, and but it's for sure stuff. You're supporting the yeshiva. The question is where your money is really ending up. If it ends up in the Talmud Chacham's pocket, you're better off.
So these mices that give these lavish gifts to their donors, essentially they're losing some sort of schar there too.
I don't know about that because it's not a machai. You gave them 100%, and then they decided.
Yeah, but subconsciously, I think a lot of them expect some.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I
I
don't know.
don't know. I've never been that. Okay, fine. So let's talk tachlis, everybody say. I think, let's be honest, everyone in this shul, this base medrash, knows of somebody who could use help, and there's another, if I'm a chacham, everyone knows. We all exposed neighbors, we have relatives, so we have to think about them. If we give to them and we bypass all the overhead and all the cuts in the middle, sometimes you have moisters, beautiful moisters, and they're so large and they have so much overhead expenses, it ends up that not just 30% is lost, it's like 50 or 60% of your money, theory, could be lost to overhead and the like. So if you know of somebody, reach out to him personally. Okay, if you're embarrassed, you can embarrass him, figure it out. You can always get with a little creativity, you can always get someone to be the go-between and give him the money, and then you get 100 cents on the dot, and it's correct, it's great.
Why is an expense not counted as supporting the Mesa? It's the same.
So I never said that. I said it is tzedakah. It's 100% tzedakah. I'm going to have to go on the record. I have to clear this a few times. It's 100% tzedakah. Okay, now that we have the record, but the Maisa is how much of my money went to the Talmud Chacham.
So that's a lot thing. That's a hergish.
It's not a hergish. It's elevating your giving. You're supporting more Torah this way than the other
Say
way.
the Talmud Chacham needs to pay for gas. The school needs.
That's his own Torah. So if you did that, that's great. That's great. When he pays for gas, that's your tzedakah that you're helping the Talmud Chacham. That's perfect.
So if you earmark the money specifically for, let's say, suffers wound or whatever, then you're getting 100%. If they decide to use the money in other ways, that's
in the middle, yes, 100%.
Right.
Okay, so let's now we have to move on, Rabbi. So let's talk about priorities and tzedakah. Let's take the next where we could elevate the form of giving, and that is the Shulchan Aruch provides for priorities. It has a few lists of priorities. So first priority is based on kurva, on relatives. So the Shulchan Aruch says that parents go first, then children, then siblings, uncles, cousins. There's a priority. And if I have a choice of who to give to, and I could give to a child or a brother, I give to a child. If I have a choice between a brother and an uncle, I give to a brother, etc. These are
Being both of them, Talmidei Chachamim.
let's say they're both Talmidei Chachamim. We'll talk about it if not. But even if they're all equal, there's a priority of kurba. A parent is also a form of tzedakah. It's the highest form. But before we run away to use our money to support parents, it's so special to support a parent in need, is that Chazal said that someone who supports his parents using tzedakah money, it gets cursed. Because you're supposed to want to support your parents from your own money, not from tzedakah money. Unless you can't afford it, and you need to come on to tzedakah funds to do it, then you could. Otherwise, you should steer away using your tzedakah funds and only use your personal money. But there is a tier, right? There's a children. This family comes first. If someone has the schus to support a brother in learning, he won the jackpot. It fits. He has Torah, he has kurva, he can support a child, an aid him in learning, a son-in-law learning, he had a home run. It's great. It's phenomenal. He mamish is supporting his kroivim in learning. It might not be as glamorous as supporting somebody else. You won't be honored at a dinner for supporting your brother, but it's much more rewarding. because that's.
Considered
the
Meiser
law.
to support his son-in-law? Or
Sorry?
It's considered Meiser to support his son or his son-in-law in learning?
Yep, yes, but you have to know, once you're on that topic, yes, but the problem is like this, halacha is, you're not allowed to use Maisa money for Davar Shabbat. So that's why we don't use our Maisa money for tuitions, we don't use our Maisa money for any pledge that we made and we are obligated. So if you're already committed to support your son or son-in-law in learning, then now you can't use Maisa money, because there's already a commitment, it's a Davar Shabbat, and I can't use my Maisa money. But, if before I made the pledge, I had in mind that when I make this pledge, it's going to come out of my tzedakah funds, then that is mutter. Not only it's mutter, it's preferable. I supported a child in learning. That's shvit. That's correct. That's phenomenal.
Even if you had to make the pledge anyway? Because the
I
Chutzim
had
was
to
only
make the
masking.
pledge? What does that mean?
They're only masking to the shidduch if you're gonna
Okay,
put X
so,
amount of money.
okay, so I didn't have to. I could have gotten a different shidduch. I want the shidduch that's better for my child, whatever it is, and I'll make that. But I'm allowed to make that commitment, having in mind using tzedakah money. Let's say you pledge for an aliyah. So if you pledge for an aliyah, if you didn't have in mind, and now I want to use the tzedakah money again, tzedakah shabbat. But if I had in mind before I made the pledge that I'm taking for tzedakah money, then I'm allowed to take it from tzedakah money. It's a shul that has an issue. I don't want to go into it. But pashas you can use it from tzedakah money. Okay.
Also?
Sorry.
Mishaberach also?
Same thing. As long as you had in mind before you made that commitment that you're going to take out of tzedakah money.
So like I feel a wealthy person should have in mind when he's giving money to his child that he's doing it to tzedakah.
Sorry, what?
He's gonna give money.
Any person.
How about like this?
No, hey.
But I'm going to talk. How about let me first finish. Hopefully we'll still have a few minutes before Meyer, and then we'll take questions. Because we're running. I love questions, but I think we're running a little bit out of time here. Now, in terms of relatives, we got the tier. Now, there's another set of rules, of priorities, that's laid down in the Shulchan Aruch, and that is proximity, geographical location. So let's just say I have my neighbor who I know is in need, and I have somebody who else is, let's say, in the city who's in need. My neighbor comes first. My neighbor comes before my block. My block comes before my town. As I go shocking, and it goes the shchuna, and goes the ear. My city comes before another city. My city comes before even Eretz Yisrael. Just Eretz Yisrael comes before a different city. But my city comes first, even before Eretz Yisrael. So if I have a choice of supporting someone in my city, in North Miami, let's say, or Florida, I know Florida's a state, but let's just say North Miami, I can support someone in North Miami, or I can support somebody in somewhere else, in Lakewood, Yaratayra. So North Miami for you would come first, because that's your city. Lakewood's great, I love it, but for you, North Miami is better in terms of Hukah Tzedakah. All right, now Rabbi Said, the disciple says that not just your city Anim come first, but your city Moistus come first. Your Moistus that you have in your city comes before Moistus of other cities. Just like there's a Kedima in Anim, so there's a Kedima in Moistus as well. They provide important services to the Kehillah, and therefore if it's a local Moistus, that local Moistus comes before a foreign, we'll call it, a distant Moistus. What happens, Rabbi Stein, if there's a contradiction between the two bodies of priorities? For example, I have a Karev who's living in Lakewood, or I have a Karev who's living in Australia, and I have my next door neighbor who is not my Karev. Who goes first? In terms of relatives, obviously my Karev who's living, even if he's living far away, is my relative. In terms of proximity, my next door neighbor is much closer. Who ends up winning? Who am I supposed to prioritize? And that we poskin that you're supposed to prioritize your relatives. Your relatives always come first. Family first. It always comes first. The Torah wants us to support our family before we support strangers. And like I said, it might not be in style, it might not be the norm, but that's how it's supposed to be. Recently, we give out money for Yom Tif, so just Sukkot, I gave out money for Yom Tif, And one of the people I gave out money to, she has a brother who's phenomenally wealthy, and many of you might have heard his name. I'm not asking questions, could be he already supports her, who knows how much. Maybe she didn't tell him that she's short him, she needs more. But really, family's first. You're supposed to support your family, whatever it takes. Your family goes before other people, and that has to go first. And these rules of Kedima is not just because we're supposed to have that sensitivity, and we have social responsibility, we're supposed to care for our family or care for our neighbors first. But if you think about it based on Al Chaim HaKadosh and Noma Place, really gets in many Svarim, it's really the other way around, and I'll explain. The Svarim say, starting from Rabbeinu Yonim, Pirkei Avos, many Rishonim, Achronim, Kafmainim, the Alshir, Al Chaim HaKadosh, the Goyim, the Malbim, on and on and on, is that our tzedakah money is not ours. Based on Gemaras like that and Chazal, really, if we have extra money to give away for tzedakah, it means that that money was never meant for our usage to begin with. Because otherwise, what does Hashem give us extra for? Hashem provides us, but the extra, Hashem could have given to someone else. Why is He giving us extra? He's giving us extra because it's meant for somebody else, and we're just the conduit to get it to that person. Hashem has Keshbainis why He doesn't want to give the money directly to the Aniyim. He wants to, like I said before, give opportunities of other people to benefit, to support the Aniyim, to be able to have that scar of supporting the Aniyim. For whatever reason is, Hashem doesn't give the money directly and gives it through us. But that money is really the Ani's money. And if that's the case, so think for a moment, if Hashem wanted somebody in Australia to be supported, where would He send that extra money to? To somebody who's living in North Miami, or to somebody who's living in Australia? To someone who's living in Australia, because the odds are that if it sends that extra money to someone in Australia, there's a greater chance that that Ani who's supposed to be getting that money will receive it. If he sends it to North Miami, I know, it's a 1 in a million that it's going to end up in Australia. And that's the same thing with Korva. The reason why we give to our craving first is because the money that we had wasn't meant for us, it was meant for our craving. And Hashem figured that what's the best chance of getting it to those craving? Sending it to his brother. And hopefully his brother will have his eyes open and recognize that he has the responsibility to support his brother. And then maybe the money will end up where it's supposed to end up. The Rechaim HaKadosh and the Auschwitz tied up a pasuk, phenomenal shot. The pasuk says, "Kesef talves ami is ani imach." If you have money, you have a chiv to lend the money. And kesef talves ami is ani imach. And all the mefarshim about the boy, it's not it's not a conditional, it's not a choice. It's a chiv d'oraisa to lend money. So what's the im? It should just say kesef talves ami is ani imach. Why say im kesef for? What's the im? Im is always if. I want, I don't want. What's the im? I'm supposed to. Zotar Chaim HaKadosh and Alshif, watch this job. Below your mind. You have to know where to put the comma in the pasuk. Im kesef, comma. If you find yourself that you have extra money more than you need for your personal use, and you're wondering why in the world did Hashem give me extra money? Why is He so kind to me? The answer is how Bezami is a honey ima. It taka wasn't for you. It's not meant for you. It was meant for the honey ima. The honey that's next to you, that's where we're supposed to be directed. He's the addressee of that money. Hashem figured that the best chance to get it to him will be to give it to somebody nearby. So it's a ani imach, it's his chelik, it's not yours. That kesef, as a ani imach, is the chelik that belongs to the ani that's with you, and that's who you're supposed to lend the money to.
So, we're not allowed to, do we not just to break the kedima? For example, if I'm in North End Beach, how do I ever give to money to Eretz Yisrael or to Lake or to anywhere else? Because I never satisfied all that need in my city.
So we're going to address that right now. Just give me time, we'll try to address it right now. Mamish right now. So the Aruch HaShulchan has the following shaila. So first of all, Rabbi said before we go to the next shaila, so we have another ways of elevating our tzedakah, either by kurva or by location. To keep the money in the city if possible, and that will be a benefit, a better way of using your tzedakah money. You're prioritizing, you're getting more for your money, the money is going to the right recipient, most likely to the right recipient. If you follow the laws of the Shulchan Aruch, then it's more likely that the money is ending up in the right hands. So like this, the Aruch HaShulchan has the following shayla. He asks a kasha, which is almost your kasha, and that is, that I think for a moment that it's going to end up that all the aniyim who have wealthy kroivim are going to be supported, and all the aniyim who don't have wealthy kroivim are going to be left out in the cold. I know Miami never gets cold, but they're going to be left out without any money. He's not going to have any money. You're going to be left out without any money because there are no kroivim to support them. And Yenim's Karev, he's going to support his Karev, he's not going to support this guy. So how are these people going to live? That was the Aruch HaShulchan's kasha. And because of this kasha, he deduces from here that must be that the priorities that are set in Shulchan Aruch are not absolute. It just means the lion's share. Most of the money is supposed to follow this tier, keep in the city, keep the and whatever it is, and the rest of the money, the smaller portion, can go elsewhere. Because otherwise, what's going to be with those craving who don't have a shirim nearby or a shirim, those aniyim who don't have a shirim nearby or a shirim as craving? That's the Aruch HaShulchan. He took that standard. He's not alone in that. There are others who go like that as well. But the Chavetz Chaim doesn't go like that. And he measures his mashma not like that. The Chavetz Chaim holds it's absolute. Many places hold it's absolute. And in the Kanami, it has to stay. You're supposed to follow that tier to the T. That kasha of the Aruch HaShulchan. Well, I don't know a great answer to that kasha, but one is that not everyone is learned and knows they're supposed to follow the tiers of the Shulchan Aruch, so they do end up supporting other people. That's one. Second is there is another equation. There's something else to reckon, and that is in halakha, if somebody who's an ani, but you know that his craving will support him, or he has enough connections that he'll be supported, then you're supposed to direct your money elsewhere to somebody who's more in need and will not be supported otherwise. So if that's the case, we could use it to the Aruch HaShulchan's kasha as well. In the Kanami, you're right, I'm supposed to follow this tier, but in the Kanami, if these aniyim will be supported anyway, then in the Kanami, and those aniyim are more needy, more desperate because they don't have relatives who are wealthy, in the Kanami, then I could and should direct my money there because those people will be starving. Those people will be left out. So the kasha is not so strong. We end up almost in the same place, but in terms of tiers, the tier is the way it says in Shulchan Aruch. We have a tier of craving, and we have a tier of proximity, and like I mentioned, moises go under that as well. And in terms of upping our stock, we have upping ourselves in terms of Malay Torah, and upping up our stock in terms of trying to keep. If you give more than 10%, so it's 10% plus 2, 10% plus 6, whatever it is, not 16%, it's 10 plus 6. We want to have that din of Maisa Pisoi, and everything else with its Tzedaka, where the Maisa Rishon goes mostly or fully to Malay Torah, and we have that second, what's above that 10%, that can go to mitzvahs. We follow this Rabbi side, then we just elevated all our forms of tzedakah without even spending one extra penny. Because we're now following the details of the Tanoim of Shulchan Aruch, and now the money's going where it's supposed to be going. Hashem created these rules, and if we follow those rules, then we know that the money's supposed to be going where it's supposed to be going. And that's very beneficial, that will be very helpful to all our tzedakah giving. There are one more nekuda, and I'll take questions. I told you I'll take questions at the end. Is that there's a nekuda, and this is hard really to determine, but that is the person talk about other forms of overlapping. Let's say you have a Talmud Chacham who's not a Karev, or you have a Karev who's not a Talmud Chacham. What do? And that could be a Machlekes, but according to most poskim, Chavetz Chaim goes with that, is that a Karev comes first, even over a Talmud Chacham. Our responsibility to family is first. What happens if you have somebody who's in need for basic necessity, doesn't have clothing, let's say, and somebody has clothing, just he's missing something else? So then, according to the poskim, could be that the need puts him in first place. It puts him on top of the list because his need is more basic than the other person's need. But when it comes to craving, according to many poskim, including the Chavetz Chaim, kroivim come first, regardless of their need. If I have a karev in need, and he's just in need, for example, watch this, a Gillian Marshal, he's just in need that he's missing a gate, a fence between him and his neighbor. Baruch Hashem, he supports his family, he pays his tuition, everything's going well, he pays his utilities and mortgage. The only thing that he's missing in life is the fence between him and his neighbor, and it's normal to have a fence between him and between neighbors because it makes good neighbors. So that's the case, and he's in need of that, and he doesn't have it, then it's considered an ani lo'isa dava, he's an ani for that thing. And if he's my karev, then he goes first, even though somebody else might need more basic necessities. A karev goes first. So we should walk out of here knowing that we have to open up our eyes. We all have karevim. We have to open up our eyes, we all have neighbors. We all know Talmidei Chachamim. And anyone who, Baruch Hashem, is surrounded by only wealthy karevim and wealthy neighbors and wealthy people in your city, let me know, I'll show you where you can send your money to. But everyone has the opportunity. If we have the sensitivity, we open up our eyes, we'll look around us, we'll be able to find these anim easily, unfortunately too easily, but we're able to provide for them directly, that they're covered. You don't have to go through organizations, you get the full punch out of your money, the mamish, the full oomph, you get your 100 cents on the dollar, and everyone is happy, you're happy, he's happy. You have so many benefits from that. Okay, let me hear some shaylas. I don't like.
How do you these donations don't happen all at once. So you have a mice that comes to you, 2 weeks later you have a car that comes to you, 2 weeks, meaning, and then how do you determine how much to give the first guy, because the second guy might show up.
Right, so if you think that your car might show up, then in economy you should probably, at that point...
It's inevitable, let's just say.
Right, so then you should plan in advance. Then you should know that that's happening, and maybe instead of having the car show up to you, be proactive about
But
it.
how do you determine how much to
And show up
give?
to your car.
How do you determine how much to give each person?
So I don't know how much your car needs, but you could find out if he's willing to be straightforward. You could spin that.
No,
you have to
let's say
give
carve is easier, but a mice, for example, there's
Endless
thousands of mice, and every single one of them
everyone's
needs.
important, and everything
Right,
one is
right.
kosher,
It's all the
and
best,
everything is
it's
full
all-
tzedakah at the chazan because the chazan walking out of this school thinking that if you give to a mice, you didn't know it's 100% tzedakah, no matter what they're over at, no matter what lost on the way. But what mice is, you give me craving, you're getting more out of your money. You tell me you're already satisfied your craving, and then you want to do mices, so try to use the mices on a Molei Torah. Koilulim is a great opportunity. Yeshiva is based on Machati Medrash, but let's say a girls' school, which is so needed in Klal Yisrael, but lav dafka that's a Molei Torah, right? So no,
Maybe it's a Molei Torah's kids.
right? It could be in my Torah that you be paying his tuitions, so you could do that. But if you're not doing that, it might not be. So you have to know how that works, right? Or let's say you have schools that also do other things besides Torah. Let's say you have a school that also has a secular study program. So now a chelik is going for Torah, and a chelik is not. So if you put that up to the next thing that's totally Torah, so then totally Torah will come first. These are the decisions we need to make in life, and if we have that sensitivity and that little planning, we could really elevate and be more meaningful our tzedakah giving.
If you don't go with the upper shulchan though, so how do we answer Shmuel's kasha? How's any money ever going to get there as well? It'll never leave the city.
So I said, because if that person in their soul doesn't have that need, that doesn't have the people to provide for him, and the people you're supporting here have others to provide for him, so there's a halacha, there's another equation that you have to take into account, that might make that other person jump ahead of the line.
I said that's not going to see it. If you said the verse said most of us also is every year as most of us, so it'll never happen. It'll never end.
It'll never end. Why?
My stock of money will never, whatever I can give will never be able to be enough. The most of us still need more, even if I gave 100% to them.
Okay, but Baruch Hashem, you're not alone here. You have a beautiful city. You're not alone.
They have charity, like Kingdom.
How we decide it?
Who should get first? Whose side is first?
But even like Torah Shulchan, let's not get lost. Even like Torah Shulchan, most of your money have to follow these rules.
Okay, so that
One more thing I forgot to mention when it comes to any Indian, by David Mas, you're not supposed to give more than half of your Meister money to any one cause. And some poskim want to extend it to even one group of cause. So for example, if you're supporting craving, so then some say you shouldn't be giving more than 50% of your tzedakah money to craving. So that will now ease up other monies, that other half of your money to give to other things. But you're right, I still stay in my city, I'll still have shkenim, I'll still have people and moises and all that. And at at that point, my monies won't leave the city. That's true. So depending what bracket you're in, but yes, that's true.
Does it put the responsibility on the aniyim or whoever's receiving the tzedakah on what to spend it properly? Meaning, because if you are giving it to them and they don't spend it properly, so then it's not the right decision.
It's out of, look, I'm involved, Baruch Hashem, I've discussed to be involved in dozens of tzedakahs. I'm constantly raising money, and at any time I speak, like any time, I always have tzedakah money in my wallet, and I'm always giving it out right away. And as of now, I have like 3 different sections in my wallet for tzedakah money. That's how it goes. There's constant tzedakah. I can tell you as a fact, very few people are mismanaging their money. They might not spend the money the way you want them to spend the money, but they're not overspending. Just because you think that it's important to have, let's just say, a vacation, but you don't think it's important to go to restaurants, and they think they need to have restaurants or bought food because that allows them to have yishavadas, and they don't go on vacation, that doesn't make them doing something irresponsible. It just means they're not you. That's all, and that's fine. And micromanaging other people's lives is usually a slippery slope. It just doesn't work. So I can tell you, I do this all the time, and I don't ask questions, and if someone's in need, try to help them, and that's it. I don't go into that kishkas, well, maybe you should be spending over here, right? I don't do that, and it's not necessary. And the Torah is not mechayiv to do it. No in Shulchan Aruch does it say that I have to do that. So it's not my responsibility. I gave them the money that they need. I was mekayim my mitzvah of tzedakah, and how they want to spend it.
Is there a proximity once you're out of your own city?
No, once you're out of your own city, you're done. The next step is Eretz Yisrael. That's your city, and then Eretz Yisrael.
Can you give all to one moised?
No, you can't.
Assuming that they are taking care of a lot of.
Yeah, but you should give more than half of your money to any one cause.
What does cause mean? Anyone cause? What does that mean? What, like a curve or?
So that's what I'm saying. So certainly not to any one curve. Certainly not to any one curve, but like I said, some places can stretch it even not to the entire craving section.
So the city, I can't give more than 50%?
No, that's they don't say it, because in the city there's so many diverse needs, you don't have a problem. But in terms of craving, to give your money more than half the money, so craving might be the not Muslim, it's a depending on the place. So therefore, I'm just answering the China, so that frees up at least some of the money.
Right, not the city.
Correct, it's still going to consciously stay in the city.
The Rav said that giving Klemish or mice is not put down anywhere. We have, in Vayiksa, Yaakov says that, if you take care of me, I'll give Asa.
Right, correct. But what was Asa of what?
I mean, he's going to give of whatever Hashem gave him.
Right, but
animals, whatever it was.
And that might be where the message is coming from, and that's the double Meiser Rishon Meiser Shena. I said, the 2 Meisers, rather than 120%, it's not a Chaimish, it's 2 10%, correct? But there is no halakha that says I'm supposed to give Meiser Ksofim. There's no halakha that's not down in Shulchan Aruch.
The Kliyakar says that...
I'll show you more, I'll show you Medrashim. You're coming from Kliyakar, I'll show you Chazal. But it's not a halakha. It's in Yonim al Kabbalah why to do it, but it's not a halakha. It's not brought down in Shulchan Aruch.
He says that since Yaakov when they came out to Mitzrayim, the hunger stopped because of he changed the nature of the world.
Right, beautiful. Yeah, I'm not telling you not to do it. You should do it. Continue to do it. 100%. We should all do it. 100%. I'm not saying that. I'm just stating a fact. It's not brought down in Shulchan Aruch. So it's not a halakha. Right? That's all. You're not arguing that, right? You also agree on Shulchan Aruch. You're being other than the faith. So I understand. It's a minig of Tzai, so it's a beautiful minig, and we should keep on to that minig. It's a beautiful minig. I was just telling you how to bring it up.
That's also
At least we know what you said.